I'm Aaron Hall, attorney in Minneapolis, talking with Brian Call, president of Rubicon Mortgage Advisors, taking an inside look at the mortgage industry and what realtors should know and consumers should know about the industry. Brian, first off, you've been around the industry for many years. What is it that sets a good mortgage agent apart from a mediocre or bad one?
I think it begins with their commitment to the profession, experience. They're committed full time. They study the craft.
Okay.
Much like an accountant studies the IRS code, I think a professional in our industry has to study the ever-changing industry, from consumer protection laws, federal regulation, state regulation, the moving of lenders in and out of the industry. So in overall commitment as a profession, not just a job.
Those who are looking at getting a mortgage often look just at the surface, just at a rate, and say who has the best rate. They might even price around. Is that wrong?
I don't think it's wrong. I think it's part of the process. I think it's the obvious barometer that many consumers will look at.
Yeah.
The rate is important, but not only interest rate, but closing fees. The experience of actually getting to the closing table. I think with the advent of online shopping and TV ads, radio ads, not that there are not quality companies out in space, but to work with somebody local in your community who has relationships with professionals in your market, who can offer a competitive interest rate, mindful of closing fees, and providing a quality experience to get to the closing table is important. So I think you really have to factor all of those items, not just interest rate.
You mentioned that quality experience, and that might be something that a lot of people say, we have quality experience. But we've seen firsthand where when a deal goes bad because somebody didn't do what they were supposed to, maybe it's not even the mortgage agent, but somebody didn't do what they were supposed to, then we as attorneys get called in. And having an experienced mortgage agent involved in the process can be a night and day difference. It can be the difference between actually being able to close on time and having to push things way out and have a lot of expense. When people, say realtors out there, meet mortgage agents, what are some red flags that are signals that a mortgage agent doesn't know what they're talking about, or they're not the highest caliber in your industry?
I would start with overall lack of transparency. I think a professional has to be transparent with whether with the borrower, whether with the real estate agent that they work with, honesty. Sometimes, which does include telling individuals, sometimes the tough news, and that it's not. I think what we see with inexperienced professionals many times is at times a false hope. Things might get better. It might turn a corner. Rather than identifying a tough experience. And it's, getting to a closing table today, particularly a home purchase or refinance, with the complexity of federal regulation, state regulation, and the investor community, the scrutiny of our industry, it's far more complex than it's ever been. With that, somebody who's been through the process before, has seen these transactions, that can kind of help steer them and keep all the parties calm and focused on facts rather than emotion is critical. And I think those that have experience, that have been in the business, have that ability to keep everybody focused on everybody's best interest, whether it be the borrower, the agents, all vested parties.
How have changes in federal regulations changed the requirement for a more experienced agent in the past few years?
Well, with our organization, we're an independent bank and broker. So we have the ability to lend our own money to broker to the outside community. Federal regulation has now forced industries or companies like ours to have licensed individuals. Any one of our employees who have contact with the borrower to discuss rate and term have to be licensed by the Fed. It's a fairly extensive process. It requires somebody to fully understand the industry, pass a test, federal test, state test in which they want to operate. And many times what we find is that the independent mortgage companies, banks, brokers, there's a barrier to entry that wasn't there a few years ago, which has weeded out a number of folks. Makes it more challenging for those to get into the industry, but also ensures for the consumers, the real estate agents out there, that those in our industry right now, for the most part, are very good at what they do. Our competitors are I think, for the most part, good at what they do, good-hearted, have the client's best interests in mind. And part of that is because of the increased barrier to entry that the Fed has put upon our industry.
I was one time told by a realtor that the realtor would get a kickback from her mortgage agent, and she would split that kickback with me as long as I used that mortgage agent. Illegal?
Yes. Section 8 of RESPA is very clear. There is to be no financial compensation, indirect or direct, tangible or intangible. It can be something as simple as I might be a member at a country club and you make a referral to me and I say, why don't you come out and join me for a round of golf? That is a clear violation as well. So something as direct as offering cash is not in the consumer's best interest. Protection laws are there to ensure consumers are offered the best service irrespective of the parties that they rely on, whether it be their agent, their attorney, their mortgage professional.
Rubicon Mortgage Advisors has been involved in the Minneapolis and Twin Cities metro area for a while. You have a lot of relationships with realtors. What do you feel is a value that you provide to realtors that realtors may not get from low-quality mortgage advisors?
I think first and foremost that our professionals are in the communities in which they serve.
Okay.
So they're involved in their communities, they understand their markets, much like real estate agents. Real estate agents, the top professionals in that industry, are in the markets that they serve, much like our mortgage professionals. In addition to that, the experience that our people have. We have 2 of the 8 individuals that are nationally accredited in our industry, in our organization. And really an overall commitment to the customer's best interest, and ultimately, as a real estate agent that's out there, making a referral to a professional, we want to ensure that we're a reflection of their service quality. A mortgage, in some cases, can be viewed as a commodity. You can go anywhere to get a mortgage. The experience, the treatment, the professionalism, that is the intangible quality that we would add compared to maybe some of our larger bank peers.
A lot of people, you said, look at mortgages like a commodity. I've seen that. They also think their transaction is so easy. Everybody thinks their own sale is simple because their situation to them seems average. What are some problems you've seen come up in a deal and trying to get closing done on time, and how have you gotten that deal done?
Well, I think it starts with maybe a challenge or problem is that assumption that everything is easy. I think when a consumer works with proven professionals, real estate agents, attorneys, mortgage professionals that have been through the changes in our industry over the last 3 to 4 years, we can better steer and better guide them and better advise them to get to the closing table. That being said, no one transaction is the same. No one transaction is easy. And I think that simple assumption, addressing that assumption early in the process and working with those professionals to help support that is critically important.
People may have a hard time believing that the sale of property is that complicated. I know as an attorney how many problems can come up. I'm curious, do you have any examples of real life horror stories or problems that have come up in what seemed to be a fairly straightforward deal at the beginning?
Yes, I would use home purchase example.
Okay.
For example, 2 agents who independently represent their seller and buyer. You have willing parties that want to buy and sell a transaction who have already entered into a legal agreement to do so. But many times it's contingent on financing and borrowing money to purchase that property. One area is the area of appraisals. And not only just the appraised value, but the quality of the appraisal, and that appraisal being acceptable to the investor community. Whereas in years past, it was simply a matter of let's validate the number. You sell a property for $250,000, we have a number of $250,000, we go to the closing table. Today we're looking at quality of the comparables. Are we looking at a declining market? And in understanding the quality of an appraisal and working with proven professionals in that arena as well is critical. It's not as simple as just throwing an appraisal out, appraiser at a project, closing and moving on. So that's an area that we see with purchase transactions as being critical to the process of the quality of that appraisal.
what are the options to consumers? They have mortgage brokers, they can go to a bank, others, and what's the difference between those?
Yeah, generally, there are originators, there are aggregators, those in the secondary market buying loans from originators, and there are
Okay.
servicers.
Okay.
Generally speaking, the large five banks, the Wells, B of A, Chase, are in the servicing business, although they offer retail origination, predominantly in the servicing arena.
And just to clarify, origination is what you provide.
What we provide.
Okay.
So our organization is both a mortgage lender and a mortgage broker, which
Okay.
offers our borrowers, the real estate agents, flexibility. For example, being a lender provides us more control. We're
Okay.
borrowing our own funds. For example, in a purchase transaction, that might be critical, where you have a defined date, defined closing. That being said, having the ability to broker a transaction to the outside community might be important for the Home Affordable Refinance Program. And so many of the borrowers are underwater right now, and our ability to find more option for them to get the lowest competitive rate that we can find in the industry. So for our organization, we're really structured in the middle as a lender and a broker, and we do that for our customer option and to ensure that we give as much option to the borrowers as we possibly can.
Do mortgage brokers have different pools of loans available to them? For example, if you go to agent A, he has certain rates and a portfolio of loans available versus agent B. In other words, is it in consumers' best interests to check in with a few different mortgage brokers?
Absolutely. We would encourage any borrower to shop. And
Okay.
how to do that is because a broker may have limited option, and although may shop to multiple lenders, loses some control in the process. Conversely, as a exclusive lender, they may have more control in the transaction, but may have limited option. So, working with a broker or a banker, there's validity to try to gain a quote from both two, if not three sources. One thing that we do see, and we'd recommend to anybody, is if they obtain a second or third quote, is to conduct an apples to apples comparison. Same day, same price, same product. So to encourage borrowers to say, I'm buying a property, I'm closing on November 1st, I would like a quote on a 30-year fixed mortgage with 20% down based on your rates as of 1 o'clock tomorrow. And to share that with 2 or 3 different lenders, and you'll then be provided a good faith estimate of settlement costs, interest rate, that you can compare. Many times if there is an error by a consumer, although well-intended, is to gain a quote from a banker on a Tuesday, a broker on a Thursday, and maybe a third party next Tuesday.
Sure.
Well, the market is fluid and moves intraday, so to have same day, same price, same comparison is critical. And with that, to use their trusted sources, whether it be an attorney, financial planner, family, to help them walk through who to select and why to select that advisor.
For home buyers, realtors, and others in the industry who are looking for a partner as a mortgage company, would they contact you or somebody else at Rubicon Mortgage Advisors?
They would I think it's best to contact me directly.
Okay.
We have 8 offices throughout Minnesota and North Dakota. We would then look to pair any professional that has an interest to engage us in an initial conversation with a professional in their market. I think it's very important to work with people in their market that know their market, and I can definitely set that up for them.
Sounds good. Thank you.